It's Ricky of Moshville Times here once again. Now, tonight we've got vocalist David Nilsson from Feral, who are a Swedish death metal band through and through, but they do also have small elements of speed, thrash and crust thrown in for good measure. So if you've listened to my dark metal show on a Thursday night, you'll have heard me play from the ancient tombs for the last few weeks. So first of all, I have to say thanks very much for that for this interview, David. It's an absolute honour to have you on. How the hell are you? Because it must be exciting times being able to be in a band again. And how are things with Feral?
Oh, the honour is all mine, you know. It's great. We're gonna get started again after the pandemic now. We had a forced break due to it. A couple of the guys work in elder care, and one of the guys in the band, his wife was pregnant, so we did no rehearsals, no meetings for 8 months during the pandemic.
Right. Okay. So, how was that for you? Was that quite a, with you being the vocalist? Then does that mean that gave you plenty of inspiration to write lyrics, or did you just completely shut everything off Feral and took a break from it and now revitalized again?
I kind of took a break. I did a solo album. But when I do other stuff than Feral, I want it to be very different from Feral.
Yeah.
So I actually did something that was more like US power metal style. You know, bands like Omen or Sirit Angle or Manila Road.
Yeah. So you're singing about knights and dragons and swords and things
exactly.
like that.
Exactly. No, but I because we had already started rehearsing to record the new album.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit. We had a break. We didn't really need more material during that break because we already had everything written.
Yeah.
So I actually took a step away for a while.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to get going again now.
Good. And one thing I hate doing is interviewing vocalists because they answer the next 6 questions before I ask them with their answer, you know. So, but we're going to talk about your split EP for a wee second. With the brand new split EP with your countrymen Crawl, who have also played numerous times. Although it's not been released until September, how does it feel to have it finally ready to be released after all the blood, sweat and tears that you put into it?
Oh, we've been waiting a long time because we actually recorded those songs the first summer of the pandemic. So they were recorded in 2020.
Wow.
And we really wanted to make the split with Crawl because they're good mates of ours and the labor mates and actually in life mates. We've played a lot of shows with them, and their vocalist Joachim actually have tagged along on Feral shows, sometimes help us selling merch and stuff. And they didn't have anything ready during 2020. So we said we'll wait for you to have songs ready for the split. It's no rush for us. We're gonna have to move the album release further on, so it's better if we have something to release before the album comes out, you know.
Well, I know the songs on the EP from Crawl, they're not especially long, so I'd imagine that they had them ready pretty quickly. Was it just also the back catalogue from Transcending Obscurity to release it and all the rest of it? It was just a matter of time for the delays.
Yeah, our label was willing to wait as well. He was they don't really do splits that often.
Yeah,
I think he has released one in the past.
Yeah.
So he was really not very familiar with the idea of a split release, you know, because it's purely there's no monetary gain to releasing a split. You know, you can't take a lot of money selling it, and you can't make a lot of copies because it's just as expensive to make a split release as it is to make a full album, but it's only 4 songs on it, so you can't charge as much for it, you know. So he said it's just better if you wait because it will be a good promotional item before your next full-length album.
Yeah.
And both we and Crawl have a full-length album in the pipes right now. So.
Well, that's actually just led me on. I take it this is going to be part of something bigger. And you've just said it, that you're going to be releasing I think it's your 4th album, isn't it? Because these songs are, like you said, they're already like 2 or 3 years old already, at least.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of new, fresher material. I have a lot of interviews, and it's a discussion that I have with the older kind of style bands. They like the album, couple of years album. They like the physical product, the CD, the package, the lyrics, and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Whereas the younger generation, I like a couple of months single. So the EP that you're putting out is just like a stopgap. Was your next release always going to be like an album? Was the next focus like an album, or did you think of doing a 4 or 5 track EP?
Always album. We have made I think it's a 6-track EP in the past.
Yeah.
After we had a long wait. We've always had a long wait between our albums, always longer than we planned. But between our first and our second album, we had 16 songs written. Wow. And we said we're not going to release a 16-song album. So we actually recorded an album and an EP during the same studio session. So the album was recorded and released in 2015, and we waited a year to release the 6 additional songs. But we always want to do full-length albums. We want to hold them. We want to, it's all about the physical media. So
the couple of songs that are on the EP, are they going to be in the album as well, or is the album going to be complete?
No, they're exclusive to the EP. Both ours and the Crawl songs are exclusive.
Yeah, well, I'm very much looking forward to it. And I already know 1 or 2 wee things about it. Like I know on the new album that you've got Michael from Disrupted on it. He also done interviewed your fellow countryman Wretched Fate as well, and he also sang on Wretched Fate's album. And I've played Disrupted as well. Very talented band. So is that something that you're actively doing, like getting 1 or 2 guest musicians in per album maybe, or?
No, we haven't done it since Where Dead Dreams Dwell, our album from 2015. Jonas Lindblad from Pure Rayon sang on 1 song. We usually throw around the idea, but it has to be a song that it fits to have additional vocalists on, and we don't really like send a message to some random guy on the net or someone famous to ask them to promote our album a bit more, have it a bit more push because there's a famous vocalist on. We want some of our friends,
Yeah. So you're friends with Michael? Is he? Because I know that you guys are from the northeast of Sweden. Is he like from further south, and it was quite difficult?
He's from further south, but we've met at a couple of shows and had some contact online. We live actually very far from the main death metal scene in Sweden. Yeah, because it's from here it's a 10-hour drive to Stockholm.
Wow.
And an 18-hour drive to Malmö.
So you guys all fairly local to where you are, so it's easy enough to get together and rehearse and all the rest.
Yeah, we all live in the same small town.
Yeah. No, fair comment. Thank you for that. Yep. But after being in the band for a number of years now, for those that are eager to hear the album then, and the EP, how would you say it compares to your early material, and particularly your most recent album, Flesh, for Funerals Eternal? And do you think you found the sound that you've been looking for with this new material, or do you just think the songwriting has just got that wee bit higher?
I think for every album we've released, our songs have not become more complicated because we don't like complicated death metal, but they're become more intricate,
Yeah.
We have a lot of twists and turns. It's not just verse, chorus, a bridge and a chorus,
Yeah.
We have a lot of riffs in all songs, and there's a lot going on with, like, the bass will play along in a certain drum beat, and the drums will follow the guitar solos sometime, and because we rehearse a lot. I know a lot of bands nowadays don't rehearse. They meet up before shows and have a rehearsal weekend or something. We rehearse every week,
Yeah.
because we love playing with each other, and I think it shows because there's these small details that you notice maybe the 8th time you listen to the album.
Yeah,
And,
I think there's a couple of things from that. I hope there's not going to be a bass solo in the album then, because that would ruin death metal if you've got a bass solo on it.
We have bass solos on every album. Every album. But we never do, we actually make some conscious decisions regarding the bass solos. Because every time in metal, if there's a bass solo, it's either like an isolated bass track with only bass, or it's in the slow doomy part in the middle of a song where you can actually maybe hear the bass. We always have the bass very, very loud in our mixes, and we do the bass solos in the same kind of parts that we would do with the guitar solos. So I think on Where Dead Dreams Dwell, there's a bass solo in Mass Resurrection, the song where Jonas from Putreon sings.
Yeah.
On Flesh for Funerals Eternal, the bass solo is in the song Dormant Disease.
Okay.
And there will be a bass solo on this as well.
I take it the songs with the bass solos and the bassist wrote the songs.
Yeah. No, actually, we let me see. Mass Resurrection I wrote, but we usually wait until recording the album before we choose where to put the bass solo, because it's not always easy to hear in the rehearsal space.
Yeah.
And when we actually get recording in the studio, we can choose a good part. We of course have some ideas of where, but we usually try a couple of songs before we decide which song to remove a guitar solo and put in a bass solo instead.
Well, he must be the happiest bassist ever in death metal.
We're very blessed to have a bass player who actually wants to play bass, and he's not the guy that was the worst guy on the guitar who had to play the bass. Because most death metal bands, they have a rhythm guitarist playing bass, and he plays the exact same riffs as the guitar guys are doing. Victor does not. He does as much as possible to play bass and not rhythm guitar.
Yeah, and usually the bass is like new steadied. It's just like you don't hear the bass in the mix at all. But
yeah, exactly.
But then again, you've got guys like Steve DiGiorgio and stuff like that, don't you? So
yeah,
bassists are talented musicians.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah,
there's actually a really good band from Denmark called Horned Almighty.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Yeah, they play like black and roll or death and roll, and they have really, really loud bass in their mixes. It's awesome.
Fair comment. Yeah. But I think that's also testament to the band as well, because I think, am I right in saying like 3/5 of you have been in it since the beginning? Or is it, I think it's something like 2014, 2015 was the last time that there was a change. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of. Our drummer joined us in, if it was 2012 or 2013. And the second guitarist who plays with us now, Sebastian, did play with us during the demo days.
Yeah.
And then left before recording the first album and returned before recording the third album. So we're all like childhood friends, basically, teenage years friends, at least. So.
And that just contributes to everything, whether it's the songwriting, whether it's meeting up, whether it's just, if you don't like a particular riff, then they're not going to take offense.
No, exactly.
So fair play. Thank you. But also in Sweden, I mean, for me, Sweden is the home of death metal. I mean, obviously you've got your Florida scene and stuff like that, but it's the HM2 sound, and it always has been for me. I find it funny, like you get Swedish bands like trying to get away from the HM2 sound and putting a wee bit of American in them, like Wretched Fate. But you've also got American bands that want to get away from the Florida sound and sound like Sweden. Like you've got Anger Rock. You've got Sentient Horror. It's just you just write what you want to play, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. We've actually tried to take a little step away. We won't ever change. We love the HM2 pedal. We're always going to use it, but we're really, but we're kind of sick of being compared to. I mean, it's a fair point to compare us to Entombed, but it's like the bare minimum you compare us to. Like, we have a lot of other influences that I think, like you brought up, we have some speed, some thrash, some crust, but the only thing we usually say we could record the ice cream truck melody and use the HM2 pedal, and people would say it sounds like Entombed.
Yeah, very true. So
because I think Entombed would be an awesome band even if they had never used the HM2 pedal. It's not the pedal that makes you a great band. You have to write good songs as well.
I like that comment a lot. But do you feel like if only I was born like 30 years ago, we could have done this stuff 30 years ago, Feral would have been in a completely different planet as to where you are just now?
I don't know, man, because if I was born 30 years ago, maybe I would like what was popular 30 years before that. If I was the same person I'm now 30 years ago, I would probably like something else. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a really tricky question. Of course, it would be cool to be a bigger band and play bigger festivals and tour and stuff in an age where that was possible. Yeah, exactly. But it's such a hypothetical question because I'm here alive today. I was born in '89, the same year as Left Hand Path came out.
Wow.
And I still listen to it.
Bloody hell, that's made me feel old, man.
So if I was born in 1969 instead, maybe I would sit at home, listen to 30s music. I don't know.
Wow. No, so are you like that with your musical tastes? You're more listen to the classic bands rather than what's coming out today?
I've started when starting off, yes, I was, but I try to pay attention to new bands because they are the ones keeping the scene alive.
Absolutely.
And most of the old bands are still killing it live, but
I mean, I bet sure they're touring again. I bet sure they're coming here in August, in Scotland in August.
Yeah, their new album was really killer as well.
Yeah,
actually. But it's the young guys who are really keeping it alive.
And do you know what's good? The young guys are playing old school death metal. They're not. Yeah. They're moving away from the 1,000 mile an hour riffs, technical death metal. They're going back to their Autopsies and the Bolt Throwers. There's so many Bolt Thrower type bands out there at the moment. Yeah. But I just hope it doesn't get saturated again. But I don't care if there's 100 bands like Bolt Thrower or Autopsy, as long as the song's good, I'll listen to it.
Exactly. Yeah, of course. And I think I see a little bit of a tendency of at least smaller festivals are slowly letting newer bands play later and later shows, at least the guys that deserve it. And because we, in Sweden, we just had a Sweden Rock Festival. It's the biggest metal or rock festival in Scandinavia, at least. I think they have about 60,000 visitors.
Wow.
And it's still bands like fucking Deep Purple headlining. All respect to the guys in Deep Purple, but soon you're gonna need a ramp to every scene because they're gonna be wheeled up in iron lungs and just standing there wheezing. We need to let the younger bands fill that spot.
Absolutely. And the thing I also love about Sweden is that you guys can also get funding to play an instrument and things. So with you being the vocalist of the band, what happened to you?
I actually started off as the guitarist in the band back in the demo days, and if I couldn't be the guitarist, I wanted to be the drummer, but it turned out I was the best at screaming, so I had to sing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get funding from the state. You can get funding from the state to pursue any type of interest. If you want to start a club for picking blueberries or training dogs or cooking food or playing death metal, you can apply and you get like a symbolic sum for each. I think you can have two meetings a week and a max couple of hours per meeting. If it's 2 or 3 hours per meeting, and you get a couple of
Can you only apply for the funding once, or is this like a continual thing?
I think you can only be part of, let's say, if I play in a death metal band, but I could also start a group for playing board games or something. But I think you can only be part of one.
Okay.
So if and there's a max roof to how many people can attend. So if you have a big board game group, you maybe 12 guys. I don't have to be a member, official member on the paper for that group, but they can still get the funding, you know.
Ways and means. And means.
Yeah.
But that's great. It's certainly a hell of a lot better than what you get in the UK. So we are jealous down here for that. But going back to the EP for a wee second, we'll talk about the album later on, but what can you tell us about where it was recorded? Who mixed it for you or whatever like that? Who done all that for you?
We recorded the drums at a friend's studio. He used to play in a band called the Spacious Minds. It's more like psychedelic improvised songs.
Yeah.
And our drummer was recording the drums for his solo album. He also has a black metal project that was called Leviathan, but had to change their name.
Yeah.
And he was recording an album. So we said, if you have some time over, when you're finished recording, let's just go in and bang in 2 songs.
Yeah.
Like at the end of a day. So we recorded the drums there, and then we do the rest here. I'm sitting in our studio right now.
Interesting. I'll come back to that in a wee second. But see, when you're like the completely opposite end of the spectrum in relation to the musical style where it was recorded in your friend's studio, did he bring like different ideas to the songs? Did he add his wee?
Oh, he didn't really produce the songs like that, but he has a lot of vintage equipment like plate reverbs. It's like a big box.
Yeah.
That you run the sound in on one end, then it makes an S formation through that box and comes out, and that S tube is made out of plate steel or plate aluminum or something, so it gets a real weird kind of reverb. That kind of stuff. So it's fun playing around with, and he has some because usually we record with our ex-guitarist Petter.
I was going to say.
But he lives in Gothenburg now, so we couldn't really fly up for the weekend to record 2 songs, you know. So we recorded the drums there this time, and it worked really fine. But then we do everything here, and then it's mixed by Petter in Gothenburg.
I see. Yeah. So I was going to talk about the rehearsal space later on, but I noticed that you're now in it. But now that it seems to be a hell of a lot bigger than what you were in before, what opportunities is it giving you?
We have actually just tried it once. Last week was the first time. We just moved all our stuff from our old rehearsal space But now I'm actually sitting in our studio. It's in my home, in my basement. But we have a lot of, we can put on shows there. You can make small private shows and bring your own beer.
What size of house do you live in? It's a mansion.
In our rehearsal room. In my studio, no. We can have a little private band party. But yeah, that's probably opportunity. It's a bit low in the roof, so we don't have really an option to build a stage this time, because we had a stage and full stage lighting in our old rehearsal room.
Yeah. Was this an idea that you talked about for a considerable period of time?
No, they're actually gonna tear down the house that our old rehearsal space is in.
Okay.
And now we only moved to the other side of the yard. So we're living on borrowed time in this new big rehearsal space as well, because in 1 to 3 years they're gonna probably tear that house down as well.
So in other words, don't get too comfortable.
No, and we can tear it up as much as we want.
Well, there you go. There you go. We'll get the recording of the album done first, and then you can just do whatever the hell you like. So
yeah.
But yeah, so
the album actually is recorded. We're mixing it right now.
Well, so was it all recorded in there?
No, for the album, the recording I was speaking about earlier was for the EP.
Yeah.
The split release.
Yeah.
For the album, we did basically as usual. We rented the studio to record the drums because my home studio is too small to record it. I have a good vocal booth and maybe for reamping guitars and stuff, but I can't fit a drum kit in there. Yeah. So we rent a big, nice studio to record the drums. We fly our old guitarist up from Gothenburg and he records the drums with us. And this time we decided to do it very raw. You know, we didn't record to any click tracks or something like that, because we said we rehearse every week and we never play to a click track in our rehearsal room. So why would we do it when it's just bothersome to us, especially our drummer, you know, because he never plays to a click track, and every 4th or 5th years we're gonna record an album and he all of a sudden has to play to a click track, and it's awful. So now we just put all the guys in the same room, but only recorded the drums, because we had booked the studio for a long weekend, and getting the drums done was the main priority.
Yeah.
But then we did basically the same thing. We took everything here to my studio, and we played the live drums in the computers, in the computer monitors, and the 2 guitarists and the bass player was recording all together live to the live recorded drums.
Yeah. It must be quite good to be able to do that and just do it under your own time, your own pressures. Yeah. So you must have all felt totally relaxed while going through the process.
Yeah, it's a bit slower, you know. If you book a studio, you have this set amount of time to record, and you get a fire under your ass and you get it done. But you know, we all have jobs. We work different hours. We have small kids, wives. You know, someone's gonna mow the lawn.
Yeah.
So it's better to just send a group chat. Is everyone available tomorrow? Yeah, then let's record and get 2 or 3 songs done each time, you know.
Quite right. So if you're going to have an album, then is it going to be 10 songs, but you've actually got 15 ready or something?
I think we recorded let me check. I have the notes over here. We recorded 13 songs.
Okay.
But I think maybe around 10 will end up on the album.
So we kind of like talked about earlier on how the older bands and the younger bands are doing it. I mean, you've got an EP coming out, you've got an album then, and there's another 3 songs that you could potentially have for another EP if you wanted to. Maybe a couple of live songs on it, you know, make it worth it.
You know, just because you have the songs doesn't mean they're all worthy of releasing or that they're all gonna fit. Now, we only write good songs and we only record good songs, but
absolutely
they have to fit together as an album. You know, I'd rather have choose 9 of the songs if the 10th one can't be fit in its right place. You know, because every album we have recorded, we have maybe between 1 or 4 songs left over.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of unreleased Feral material, but
as well, you know, it's just harder and harder for bands to keep their name out there because, like, as you can see, like, you can record just you yourself, just one man band. You could record a whole album just by sitting in your bedroom now. And there's so many bands just releasing music, Bandcamp, and all the rest of it. It's so hard for keeping the name of Feral out there, but things are going to be happening in the next year, and Feral is going to be left, right, and centre, and a lot of that is due to Transcending as well with their promotional, their marketing. But yeah, thanks very much for that. Thanks very much for that, David. But we're now going to talk about the visual side of the EP first. I know that it's only a split EP, but I think you guys are not camera shy when doing videos. So I know that you've done a visual video for From the Ancient Tombs. Do you maybe have something else coming up in the near future to coincide maybe with the album release, or do you see yourself doing something for the other track on the split EP?
I don't think there will be another one for the EP. Maybe if the label decides to do one, but we always wanted to do like a high production music video. I think the one closest to it was the first one we did for Welcome to the Graveyard. From our first, I know it's actually,
is that 2009 or something?
It's actually from the demo before our first album, but it's the same song and mixed by the same guy, so they sound very similar. But it's, you know, it's very expensive to make music videos, and a band our size, even if we make like a Michael Bay production music video, we're gonna get a couple of thousand views on it. But we really want to. We have had a really couple of cool ideas, but when we start to budget the project, it always ends up with, okay, we'll just stand in a dark room and play the song because that's what we can afford, you know.
But you do have a number of good videos out there. But who's the visual one of the band then? Who's the one that comes up? They look at the album title, they look at the song titles, they look at the lyrics, right? I see this video doing this and X, Y, and Z.
We actually we hire guys to make our videos, and we hire guys to make our album covers, and we always hire guys that we would trust to make good decisions, you know. Because we might have an idea for what we want on the cover, but none of us are. I like drawing, you know, but I'm not an artist. And if I use our album covers as an example, we use this Romanian guy called Costin. He does loads of artwork for bands like At the Gates or Mayhem and Arch Enemy and Grave.
That's a hell of a CD.
Yeah. So we send him the album title, we send him the song that the album title is based on, and the lyrics, and we say, go nuts. You're gonna do something that we could never think of. And we like your style, and we know it's gonna be good. We've never made any amendments to the sketches he's sent us, you know, because if you do your research well enough, you know you're gonna get something. I couldn't imagine someone hiring me to write music and then telling me how to do it. Because why are you hiring me? Do it yourself.
That's actually something I was going to ask. Like, what is it you send the artist? Would you send a whole album? Would you send all the lyrics and things like that, but you just explained it there, just the album title.
Yeah, because we never do title tracks. We do.
I know what you're going to say next, and I was actually going to raise that. I know you're going to jump the gun.
Yeah, we take a line from each song that we think stands out, and I'm a huge fan of alliteration, so usually it becomes one of those, like "Flesh for Funerals Eternal" or "Where Dead Dreams Dwell."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Then we give him a rough idea of the song, if we have a rough recording of it, or even if we're finished in the studio and have the finished track, we'll send that along.
Would you said that you like drawing? Would you even send like a rough drawing to give?
No.
You give him artistic freedom.
Yeah, exactly, because I don't think he wants to paint by numbers, and and whatever he comes up with will be better than what I could ever think of.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's actually what I was going to bring up next. I said I actually wrote, I like the way the album titles are done with Feral. They are written in the songs as a lyric rather than having a specific title. So fair play to you.
It's awesome you picked up on that. Very few people do.
There you go. You see, prep is key.
Yeah.
So with you being the vocalist of the band, then, do you write all the lyrics, or do you welcome contributions too from the other members for some of the lyrics?
I welcome contributions, but I'd say 9 out of 10 songs are written by me, and I also write a lot of the music as well.
Okay.
I think half of the songs on "Flesh for Funerals Eternal" are written by me and Marcus, our other guitarist.
So is you sending the guitarists riffs at 4 o'clock in the morning, waking them up, saying "fuck off, I'm trying to sleep here"?
Yeah.
Them doing it to you.
Yeah, exactly. I send them something rough. I say, play this, but better.
Yeah.
I usually say I'm a okay home sofa guitarist, but I could probably never do it live.
Well, you don't know until you try, do you?
No.
But and how did you do your power metal stuff then? If
well, in the studio you have the opportunity to make a million takes if you need it, and that's why I'm a decent home guitarist, but could probably never do it.
Did it take a million takes?
I didn't count by but probably.
Yeah. But see, when it comes to like the lyrics again,
yeah,
when other members are contributing the lyrics, do they find it difficult sometimes for them to portray? Because when they're writing the lyrics, they're visualizing you singing them, but do they find it difficult sometimes for them to portray to you how they want it sung?
They usually don't. They not in that they don't find it difficult. Not in like they don't tell me how to sing it. Maybe it's the only one who has ever written lyrics to our songs besides me is the other founding member, our bass player Victor.
Okay.
And he might have a rough idea of how he wants the chorus to go, but the rest he leaves up to me.
Yeah, yeah. So what type of lyricist are you? Are you the type of person that you've always got like a wee notepad and a pen, and you open the door and you see something in the street, you take a note of it and you go back to it later on? Or do you read a lot of books? Do you watch a lot of documentaries? What inspires you to write your lyrics?
Oh, it's a huge mix. A lot of books, actually a lot of podcasts as well. I listen to a lot of history and true crime podcasts, but also books. And I don't
With the
have
history,
a notepad.
is there a specific period that you're more interested in?
I like the ancient periods and medieval stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We have a couple of songs because we're not outright
Blood and guts.
Yeah, and we don't have like a set theme that Feral sings about. We can have history stuff. We can have H.P. Lovecraft. We can have anything as long as it fits,
Yeah.
But I don't have a notepad, but I have a million started lyrics written down on my phone.
Yeah.
Uh,
Again, coming back to the type of lyricist that you are, I had an interview with a Scottish band called Brain Bath, who are just like autopsy worship and all the rest of it. But he says he's already got 15 lyrics, 15 song written for the next album. Do you wait until the music is done before you write the lyrics, or do you have some prepared in advance as well?
I prefer to have the music because as I'm writing, I plan out how I'm going to sing it.
Yeah.
Very rarely have I had the lyrics done beforehand. But the one example I have turned out really well. It was the song As the Feast Begins on Where Dead Dreams Dwell. Was written by our guitarist Marcus. And I already had the lyrics written on my phone. So we just tried it out one rehearsal, and it's one of our most popular songs. No, it's very, very catchy.
Yeah.
It's about Jesus getting crucified, but instead of resurrecting, he's eaten by vultures.
So it was a bad day at the work, was it? A bad day at the office that day?
Usually, I actually thanked my old job, in the booklet of that album, because most of the lyrics were written on the shitter.
Thanks for sharing that with us. That's a Moshville Times exclusive, by the way.
Yeah.
How Feral write their lyrics.
Yeah.
But going back to the writing of the songs, you kind of spoke about your influences. You've got speed, you've got thrash, you've got crust, you've got black, you've got death, and you've all got personal tastes in music. How do you negotiate what stays in and what goes out of a song? Is it quite easy or quite difficult?
I think it's quite easy, but because we have a pretty clear idea of what fits into feral, even if it's a really wide net to shoot for, But it's not like anyone's gonna come with some really breakdown, heavy deathcore inspired stuff, because we all love like old school metal, but we have our own pinpointed interests within it,
Yeah.
Like I'm very much more into the thrash and speed metal and 80s heavy metal stuff, while Marcus, our guitarist, listens to a lot of crust and D-beat punk. Victor is also very into punk, but also a lot of 70s stuff, like Uriah Heep and
Purple.
I got a huge Uriah Heep tattoo here. And Roger, our drummer, has his black metal roots, and Sebastian, our other guitarist, is very much more into the technical death metal stuff. But
it's quite strange then how you bring all those influences and you keep it together. And Feral have been together for years and things like that.
Yeah.
And if they want to play something in the roots, they just have their own wee side projects like you've done, like your drummer's done. So but everybody comes together for Feral, which is it's interesting.
Yeah, but that's the joining factor for all of us. We all love Entombed and Grave and Dismember and stuff like that.
But to be quite honest with you, I'm quite disappointed in your answer, because I was kind of expecting like Blood on the Walls or Fights in the Studio and stuff like that, but that doesn't happen.
Wouldn't have been together for all these years then.
But there must be somebody that's quite moody, that's the hardest to please before it stays in.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Maybe me. I think I'm the most vocal guy regarding what we can and can't do,
Yeah.
And the others maybe are going more with the flow.
I see.
But I like bringing in those mid-tempo thrash stuff.
Yeah.
Like I love songs like The Saw Is the Law by Sodom.
I thought you were going to say something like Destruction there, but Sodom, yeah.
No, Sodom is my favorite of the German thrash bands.
Okay. I do like old thrash. I mean, it was you nearly got me saying that. I moved from like Ahan Duran Duran to like glam, like Bon Jovi and Def Leppard, and then it was like Testament, and then it was all the thrash, and then I just heard like this Death Grill. I went, what the fuck is that? And I just went, wow, and that was me. So, but yeah, fair play. We all have our influences. We all have our influences.
Tapping the Vein by Sodom is a huge influence on us.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you, David. Thank you. But now that the world has opened its doors to playing live again, what gigs have you played recently? And I know that you have. And what do you have in store as well? Or are you just going to focus for the next few months for the recording of the album and then go out towards the end of the year? What are you thinking?
We played in Stockholm quite recently. It was a festival that was planned before the pandemic, and it had to be rescheduled several times. Some bands dropped off and some bands were added to it. And when things finally opened up again, the ticket sales hadn't been really satisfactory. So they decided to trim it down a bit. So instead of having a big open air event, they decided to have a smaller festival in their club instead. So I think it was 6 bands playing, and we headlined. It was really a good show. It was sold out, and a really good way to start playing live again. So
wow. So do you have anything planned towards the end of the year?
No, not yeah. Actually, the very end of the year, we're gonna play a New Year's show at the same club again.
Wow. Okay.
But between now and then, it's
an album
very. Now it's already recorded. We have actually mixed it once and moved on to mastering it, but decided that we really have to go back a step and mix it one more time, because we're really not ending up where we wanted to be.
If you had the budget, would you like somebody like Dan Swain or Unisound to do it for you? Or are you quite happy to keep it like do it DIY or die, like do it yourself?
I think the producers now are, it's almost becoming the same situation with the large labels. Like nowadays you have Century Media and you have Metal Blade and maybe Napalm Records.
Yeah.
And all big bands are assigned to them. And it's almost the same with extreme metal, whether you're playing death metal or thrash metal, you're either being mixed by Dan Swane or you're being mixed by Andy Sneap. And all albums they do sound the same.
Yeah.
And of course, you hire Dan Swane if you want the Dan Swane sound. So of course, if you hire him, you're not going to tell him try to sound as little as Dan Swane as possible. So I get that, but we want to have our own sound, but we're still a Swedish death metal band using the HM2 pedal. We're going to sound like that, but I think we have the slightest difference in our sound. We have a little bit of the Marshall stack sound to it, and we're happy that you can actually hear in the production that this is a Feral album.
Fair comment. I can't argue with that at all. I can't come back to you with something about, wait a minute. No, I can't. No. Listen, David, thank you very much for your time. I've only got like a couple of questions left. I do appreciate it very much. But I don't know whether to do, well, from the material that you've got, not a new album or anything like that, but from the material you've got and when playing live, is there a song on the set list that you're personally looking forward to playing more than others? Do you have a favourite?
We're really sick of playing Welcome to the Graveyard, but it's always fun to do it. We hate rehearsing it, but it's fun playing it live, you know. But for me...
You're not going to have to ask why do you hate it when you rehearse it?
because we're really sick of playing it. We've been playing it for 10 plus years.
Yeah, yeah.
And but it's a really easy song, so we only have to bang it out like 1 or 2 times before a show, you know.
Yeah.
I like playing Carving the Blood Eagle. It's a real thrasher, and we have that drum intro to it, similar to Ausgebombt by Sodom.
Yeah.
And you know, because we don't introduce it, our drummer just starts playing the drum beat, and yeah, people, you can notice who in the audience knows what's going to happen. Yeah,
yeah.
It's awesome.
Do you know something? I'm so jealous. I wish I could play an instrument. I did have a BC Rich guitar once, and I put it on my lap, and I was like, "Why is it not making a noise?" I forgot you had to learn how to play the bloody thing. But I'm so jealous of like you guys getting on a stage and just the drum, for example, and then you see people react to that. It must just be the best feeling in the world, you know. You tell people to do a wall of death or something like that, and the crowd's just absolutely just so jealous, so jealous. But you've been signed to Kunal of Transcending Obscurity Records for a while now. So how did that come about? How's the relationship been so far, and what do you hope Transcending Obscurity Records will bring to Feral?
Well, we were signed to Cyclone Empire. Before that, but that label really lost its steam for a while. They had some personal problems and some staff problems. Nothing bad to say about them because it was out of their control.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see that they're making some signs of life again. They're re-releasing some albums and keeping their shop open and stuff like that. But
good.
When they started losing steam, we were working on a new album, and we saw some other bands from that label had moved over to Transcending Obscurity. So we had a good opening to speak to those bands and ask them how things have been working out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We were actually still signed for another album on Cyclone Empire. So we wrote them an email and asked, wanted to know what's going on. Are you willing to release our next album? Otherwise, we know this guy is interested.
Yeah.
And they understood and said, you got to do what's best for your band.
So that's good. There's no legal issues or anything like that. It's good.
No. Good. They handled it really, really classy.
Yeah.
So we had a good idea of what we were getting ourselves into, because the other guys are happy. But Kunal has some, the owner of Transcending Obscurity Records has some different ideas of how he works, and we just decided that let's try it because he's doing something right. He has a small label that's growing every year. Absolutely. And he can't be like a clown that doesn't know what he's doing. He's doing something right, so who are we to question? As long as he lets us write our songs and release our albums, we're willing to try it. And so far he's very active and he's easy to get a hold of. You don't have to send him an email with maybe 4 questions in it and then wait 2 months and get 2 questions answered. Then you have to write an additional email, because you just dial him up and he'll answer you right away, basically.
Good.
And now so far it's been really good.
Like I say,
the next album is coming out via him as well. So.
He's got worldwide distribution and everything like that. He's only going to market you guys when your album's out all over the place. And the good thing about him is he offers deals to the punters that buy the CDs. He's always got a monthly deal on, like buy 4, get 3 stuff. So he's always thinking of the punter as well. I interviewed Kunal, just an email interview, and he was so appreciative of it, you know. So I know that you've got a good label there. So hopefully, long may that continue.
Yeah, he's very passionate about the visual stuff as well.
Yeah,
he'll gladly pay up to get a better album cover and make proper videos, because he doesn't want to get known for being the guy from India who makes cheap stuff.
Yeah,
because there's already people who automatically assumes that about the label, and so he really has to work against that to make quality releases and that look good and feel good and don't feel cheap, you know.
I mean, I've got a good number of CDs behind me, my my benches and stuff like that, but it's the quality of the packaging as well. Like the cases he puts them in, I'm like, wow, you know, how does he make any money from these, you know? Because of the detail and everything he puts into it.
Yeah.
You know, but absolute fair play to him.
Yeah.
But I've only got one last question for you. But we're going to talk about, I don't know whether it'll be the same or whether it'll be different. This is usually the time when I ask about the instruments that you use to record the EP and record the album. We'll talk about the album then. So with you being the vocalist then, did you go through like a range of microphones before you were satisfied with the sound of one particular microphone? Or are you just the type of guy, give me an SM58 and I'll fucking sing into it?
I've never really been very interested in gear. The same with my guitars. As long as it goes twang when I hit the strings, I'm happy. But there's a microphone that I really love and that I've used since we recorded our first album. I think it's not a secret. A lot of death metal bands use it. It's the Shure S7B or something like that. It's called because it's very, very narrow. You can basically have it in your mouth, you know.
Yeah.
So you can actually hold it like a mic when you're rehearsing and when you're doing it live. And it doesn't take up a lot of room noise. You can stomp around and fart as much as you want. It won't take it up. As long as your mouth is louder, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Because I move around and I spit and I swear and I...
Disgusting behavior. Disgusting. Yeah. But you said that you wrote a lot of the songs of the album as well then, the riffs. So I take it that's the guitar of choice behind you then?
No, that's actually a new... that's the only guitar I use for not playing death metal. I actually just sold my nice guitar to our guitar player, Marcus, because I said I don't need this anymore because I only play at home. But nowadays I use a Gibson.
Nice.
And it's tuned down to B for perfect Swedish death metal tuning. And I use this for doing all the rough demos and stuff at home that I send to the other guys.
I see there's only 6 strings on it, not 7.
Never 7. But you buy a 7-string pack and throw the thinnest one away. It's tuned like a 7-string guitar, but you can never have 7 strings. That's only for technical death metal bands and deathcore.
Well, I was also thinking of your side project that you've got on the go as well, you know. So
that's that guitar.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah. I think it was the singer from At the Gates who said in an interview when they were searching for a new guitar player that it can't be a guy with a haircut and he can't have 7 strings on his guitar.
Again, can't disagree with that at all. But what were since you wrote a lot of songs with the guitar, then what's your amps, what's all your pedals, what's your gear of choice?
I actually just use my HM2 pedal and plug it straight into my sound card on the computer.
Okay.
and use simulated amps, because I used to own a really nice Pee-wee amp back when I lived in an apartment before moving to the house that I live in now. But I bought a 30-watt amp and thought, that's a small amp, it will be perfect to have in my home apartment. But really, it's a tube amp.
I'm sure your neighbors will agree as well.
Yeah. So even if I turned the knob so it just was sniffing on one, I went deaf in my my apartment, and I think my neighbors went as well. So nowadays I just use simulated amps in my computer. I use the HM2 pedal, and I usually play wearing headphones, because I only need it to make rough demos and stuff like that.
Got you. Got you.
And if we're gonna reamp anything in my studio, we use either one of our guitarists' actual amps, or we rent the amp. But nowadays we do all our reamping in Gothenburg as well.
Well, you certainly know all the tools of the trade, and I just hope it comes together for this next album through Transcendent.
Yeah, I'm very interested in like the recording part of everything. So I like to make nice sounding demos, and I don't mix anything on our albums, but I do the actual recording engineering, you know.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Like, do you offer that services to other bands?
No, not really. It's just for my own stuff. But I have thought about it. But maybe I could mix a very rough demo for somewhere. But my mixing is not at that point that I would release anything.
Yeah. Well, I'll learn how to play the guitar if you learn how to mix.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, but like I said before, David, it's an absolute pleasure. I wish you success for the EP, more so with the album. And yeah, anything I can do for you, I'll play you behind on the radio station. I'll even come out my review. I used to do written reviews, but I haven't done one in like 18 months because I now prefer doing this. So yeah, more than happy to do anything for you guys. More than happy to talk to any Swedish band. That's you. Yeah. I've talked to Thomas from Lick and Richard Fate. Yeah. And now that I know it's only an hour behind me, I should really do more because I do love my Swedish. And maybe who knows, I might even look into doing Crawl and tell them how much that you rubbished them.
Well, you should.
I will do. But like I said, we'll do all we can. This will go on Moshville Times socials, and it'll go on all of my socials, and I shall certainly be keeping one eye on all things feral. So thank you very much for your time, David.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate very much that you've been playing us.
That won't stop either.
No.
Keep releasing good music and it won't stop, so no pressure.
Oh, we will. We will.
Thank you, David. Thank you.